Taking a peek at the steering wheel as well as the cluster screen inside of the Hyundai Santa Cruz. This is for the 2025 Plus models. The previous gen, slightly different screen layout and different infotainment. So if you want walkthroughs on the last generation version, you'll find those down in the description of this video. But first thing I'll point out is that the steering wheel inside of the truck is heated, and the button just down the middle there with two unique levels that are available. The steering wheel is also manual telescoping. So just by your left knee, there's a release there. Release and go in, out, up and down to find that perfect position for you. Once you find it, click it in order to lock it back into place. There are so many different buttons and stocks. So let's start off with the stock along the left-hand side. That's going to be for your lights, and you can see there, your blinkers with the option for the blind spot view monitor. So if you've got it in your truck, you hit your turn stock and you can see what's going on inside of your blind spot. I love that feature. Not standard across the board though, and then you could also flash your high beams out. Now, I'm in the auto mode right now, so if I were to push away, it's going to put me into an auto headlamp mode or high beam mode. So what that means is that if the truck recognizes high beams are needed, turns them on automatically. If somebody's oncoming, it turns them off before turning them right back on again. You can permanently lock your high beams out in the auto mode. All you have to do is push away twice. If you wanted to permanently lock your high beams out, all you're going to do, you've got your different light modes there. You're going to move into the top headlamp mode. You then push away to turn them on, pull towards you in order to turn them off. Stick along the right-hand side is going to be for your wipers. So you can just go one down for a quick wipe, and then you go up in order to be able to go into an intermittent mode. In the intermittent mode, you could then use the little rocker in the middle to say how fast or slow that rain's hitting the windshield, and then one of the crazy modes from there. You're then just going to pull towards you in order to get the wiper fluid going. The truck also has paddle shifters. So you've got your minus on the left-hand side, plus on the right-hand side. So if you wanted to drop gears in order to shoot up your RPM so you could get some speed to pass people, you can do that. If you wanted to take that same button and push down a few times in order to be able to rely on engine braking, you can also do that. If you want a better walkthrough explanation on how paddle shifters actually work and when you want to use them, check down in the description, because in this truck you could use paddles. There's also the option for using the manual shifter. So when you're in drive, if you move the stick over, you can then move in between different gears. So you can see there, we're in a different gear there. So paddle shifters, the hand shifter there, they work under the same principle. And then down by your left knee, you can increase or decrease the brightness of the cluster screen. You can toggle your bed lighting on or off, turn traction control on or off, and put yourself into a tow mode. Some versions of the Santa Cruz are also going to have driver's seat memory. So all you would do, set your driver's seat up the way that you'd like to. Once you've got that set, you're just going to push and hold. There we go, either 1 or 2 for it to remember your own personal profile. And then some versions also have this little feller. That's a fingerprint reader. So you could have that, essentially going to be for additional safety for the infotainment. Matter of preference if you use it or not, but that is available. And then so many different buttons available. So the ones along the right-hand side, you've got a mode button there, and that's going to change you between available sources. That's all set up through the infotainment system. So you've got your custom button there and there. Inside of the infotainment system, if you tap on your setup there, that's going to give you a series of options. So if we start off with our buttons there, so there are 2 unique buttons. So you've got your mode and then your custom button there. So when you tap the custom button on the steering wheel, so this little feller, what do? Do you want to go to the home screen, turn the display off, etc.? And then your mode button there, that's going to let you jump between all of these selected sources. So if you only listen to AM or FM, you can select whichever option's there. So when you tap the mode button, that's going to move you between all of the available modes. You can answer or hang up on a phone call. There's a voice command prompt where if you tap that, you could change songs, radio stations, you can navigate using your voice, and a few other things. If yours didn't have factory navigation, that obviously wouldn't work. And then if you had a phone hooked up through Android or iPhones, if you do a long push and hold on that button, that's going to bring up
Bluetooth on in your mobile device
with a phone connected, that would bring up either Siri or Google. If you didn't have a phone connected, you saw there push and hold in order to add one in. There's a volume rocker there. You can push in the middle in order to adjust your volume. And then down by your right knee there, there's also a switch you can use or mute out the audio that way if you'd like. One's along the left-hand side. So this one is for cruise control, so you can toggle it on or off. And so you can see there, conditions not met. Now, when I start driving, I tap there. You could then set cruise control at whatever speed you're currently driving. You could then push up in order to increase or decrease, so up or down, 1 kilometer, 1 mile per hour at a time. Push and hold up or push and hold down, it'll bring you to the next 10 kilometers at a time or the next 6 miles at a time. You can hit the brake to cancel your speed. You can hit the button in the middle there to cancel your speed. And then you can push again in order to resume your previously set speed. Then there's also a distance indicator. It's how close or far are you from the leading vehicle with 4 different options. I'm personally okay with being on level 1, but that's going to come down to a matter of preference. And then one neat thing inside of the Santa Cruz, so if you take the button to toggle cruise control on, if you push and hold that button, that's going to let you have a speed limiter set too. So the vehicle wouldn't go past a certain speed. So you'd be able to limit it at whatever you'd like to there. I'm personally not a fan of having that limiter on, but if you'd like it, you've got that flexibility. And there's also this one, which is a lane follow assist or a lane centering system. So there are 2 different safety systems inside of Hyundai vehicles. One of them is a lane keep assist, which is set up through the infotainment. So if you start to veer over into another lane without signaling, it's going to nudge you back into your lane. But the lane follow assist takes it up a notch and a half. So as long as the lane markings are recognized, it can keep you perfectly balanced in your lane. So you're going around bends, things like that. It is a fantastic system. But if you want to see the cruise control system used in person, check down in the description of this video. And then you've also got these 2 buttons. You can tap the button here to move between different pages, and then you'd use the dial here to move between different subscreens. You've got your speedometer off to the left-hand side with your fuel gauge done a few different ways. The auto hold setting, if that one's enabled, you can toggle that on off. From there, you've got your outside temperature, what gear you're currently in. If you were in the manual mode, you'd see what gear you're in that way. Along the bottom side, you can see your current odometer, along with your tachometer along the right and your engine temperature. If you had different safety settings enabled, so the lane keep, lane follow assist, cruise control, things like that, those would also show up along the top part of the screen. Then there's also a switch down the middle in order to move between different drive or terrain modes. You can see there, as you adjust that out, that's going to let you move between different modes. But inside of the infotainment system, tapping setup, if you go to your cluster screen, that's going to give you the option of adjusting a few things. You can adjust the brightness of the cluster, but you can also change up your theme selection. So I'm on the classic view right now, but maybe you prefer a more modern look or a simplified look. You can adjust it out to a few different looks. You can also link it to different modes. So with your drive mode selector, it's going to look slightly different because we've got it linked to our drive mode. But let's say if you love the look of that sport mode, but maybe you want the economy of the smart mode, you can do that. So what you're going to do, tap into whatever style that you'd like to, and it locks that style into place. So even if you adjust out your drive modes or terrain modes, it's going to keep it with that individual look. Or you can just link it to the drive mode for the vehicle to be able to change it up kind of on the fly for you. But I love that you've got the flexibility to be able to adjust that out. So if you wanted to customize the look, you could. And then the screen in the middle there. So we've got our fuel counter along the very top. So you've got a few different types of fuel counters. So you've got your current trip. So that's from when the truck was last turned on. That's the distance that you've driven. Down one is the last time that you fueled the vehicle up. How far have you gotten with your economy? And that's just your basic last reset. If you wanted to reset any of these, all you would do is move to whatever screen. If it's available, you can see there it says hold OK. All you're going to do is exactly that. So you can take the OK button, push and hold it. That's going to center you out again. Simple. You can do that for any of those options. Moving down gives you your tire pressure, which you have to be driving in order to be able to see it. You'd be able to adjust out the type of tire pressure you see, whether that's PSI, KPA, or bar inside of the infotainment system. You can drop down to see your power distribution, so which axle is getting which amount of power. And as you drive, you'll see that kind of adjust out on the fly. If you tap the Pages button again, that brings you to this available option. So if you have factory navigation, so if you don't, it's strictly going to be a compass. But if you've got factory navigation, it's not full mapping cluster that's available, but you can at least see your turn-by-turn directions there. And you can see them inside of two different screens. So this main screen, you wouldn't be able to see it, but you've got your turn-by-turn directions, or just got a little turn-by-turn there too. Exit out, brings it back to that compass view. And then if you tap again, you could see your basic driving assistance screen here. So when lanes are available and they're recognized, you'd see these things go green, and that means that the lane keep or follow assist systems are enabled. And then if you push and hold the OK button there, so as we move between the pages there, you can see hold OK for settings. That brings up a host of different settings inside of the infotainment system. So things like driver assistant settings, lane keeping systems, and all sorts of other options there too. But if you want a full walkthrough on the infotainment, you'll find it in the description. If you hop into General and then Units, you can also adjust out your measurement units. It's one of the nice things about being a fully digital cluster. As you adjust it out, you can see it moving all of the info. So your fuel economy levels, all of your different options there, what's going on with your current odometer. So it adjusts it all on the fly, Celsius or Fahrenheit, down low, and then depending on the speed unit that you're in, it adjusts it out, miles per gallon or kilometers, and then you can change out your tire pressure. So do you want to be in PSI, kPa, or bar? That's everything you need to know about the steering wheel as well as the cluster screen inside of the Hyundai Santa Cruz.